From The National, this is Trending Middle East. I'm Yasmin Altaji. It's Monday, June 16th. Here are today's headlines. Conflict between Iran and Israel is escalating. Israel launched missiles toward Iran on Friday, just a day after the UN's nuclear watchdog, the International Atomic Energy Agency, or IAEA, declared Iran in breach of its nuclear non-proliferation duties. Iran retaliated, and the two countries have exchanged missile fire since, with Iranian fuel depots and nuclear sites under attack and the Israeli death toll rising over the weekend. The National's Lizzie reports.
The events of the past 24 hours have been a continuation of this huge escalation that we've seen between Israel and Iran. There are images coming out of Israel in Tel Aviv and other towns across, mostly in the center of the country, of, really quite large destruction of buildings that appears to be much more significant than previous direct attacks by Iran on Israel that took place last year. Israel continued to attack Iran on Sunday as well. Both sides have said that this will continue. Israel has said that it still has a list of targets that it's looking at in the country.
Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said Israel's attacks on Iran's nuclear sites, quote, crossed a new red line, unquote. IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi said in a statement, quote, nuclear facilities must never be attacked, regardless of the context or circumstances, unquote. Now, there is worry about how much Iran's energy infrastructure can withstand.
Quite significantly, we've seen not only nuclear and defense targets like missile stocks being targeted, but also we've seen Israel attack energy infrastructure in Iran. So the enormous South Pars gas field in the Persian Gulf and an oil depot in the capital Tehran.
Mr. Araghchi also accused the U.S. of supporting Israel's attacks, saying Tehran had, quote, solid evidence of this. Israel's attacks on Iran sabotaged weeks-long talks between the U.S. and Iran for a potential nuclear deal. Omani mediators over the weekend said the final round of talks that was set to take place yesterday was cancelled.
According to people that I've spoken to in Tehran, the belief was that the commanders that were killed on Friday were attempting to kind of manage the tension with Israel. And, they sort of didn't want to escalate things further. They were advocates of what they call strategic patience. So while you try and create deterrence through attacks, you limit them so that you don't provoke an even larger counterattack. Now, the people who are coming in now might not think the same way, so we could see further escalation. And Israel has said that it will continue to attack. And at the same time, Iranian commanders are saying that attacks on Israel will continue as long as they continue to attack us.
Oil prices spiked on Friday, reaching their highest level in nearly 5 months in reaction to the Israel-Iran conflict. As Israel targets energy sites in Iran, investors are concerned that Iranian oil could be off the table and jut prices upwards. Here's the National's Aarti Nagraj with more.
With Iran and Israel continuing to attack each other, we have seen a huge impact on oil as well as stock markets. Oil, in fact, on Friday reached one of its highest levels in the last 5 months, with Brent and WTI closing more than 7% higher. What a lot of analysts say is that it depends on what kind of action comes next from both parties involved. Now, if Israel intensifies its attacks on Iran's energy infrastructure facilities, then obviously we can expect oil prices to go much higher. We will see some impact on the supply chain, especially to China, which is heavily reliant on Iranian oil. So it all depends on what comes next.
Among broader concerns, expansion of the conflict could paralyze the Strait of Hormuz, a key shipping route for oil exports. But on Friday, OPEC's Secretary General said in a statement on X that there are, quote, currently no developments in supply or market dynamics that warrant unnecessary measures, unquote. That was in response to suggestions that rising oil prices could require the release of emergency oil stockpiles.
If you look at stock markets, all of them closed down on Friday. For now, the Gulf remains shielded in terms of impact, is what analysts say, direct impact, but it is in the region, and any kind of tensions, geopolitical uncertainty in the region does affect the Gulf as well. Markets are also looking at G7 meeting, which is coming up next week, to see what comes from there. So it remains to be seen what comes next to understand where oil and markets will go.
Activists trying to break through to Gaza are resisting Egypt's attempts to block them. Participants in the global march to Gaza have vowed to remain in Cairo and make another attempt to reach the Rafah border crossing. In the last few days, there have been arrests, deportations, and violent confrontations with Egyptian authorities. Some activists posted videos on social media to urge others to stay in the Egyptian capital despite threats. The march aimed to bring together thousands of pro-Palestine activists from 54 countries to deliver a message of solidarity with Gazans and demand an end to Israel's blockade. Egyptian security officials told The National on Sunday that nearly 500 foreign activists had been deported. Of those, 200 were sent home on arrival at Cairo airport. That's all for this morning's headlines. You can follow live coverage of the Iran-Israel conflict and more at our site. Yasmin Al-Taji, The National.